Welcome to Acton in Focus. I'm Vivian Kofsinger-Birchall, your host, and my special guests are from the Acton Exchange. With me is Mr. Bob Miller, the treasurer, and Ms. Franny Osman, the editor-in-chief. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And maybe for the sake of those who don't even know about the Acton Exchange, let's start there. What is the Acton Exchange?
Well, the Acton Exchange is a local online newspaper focusing all things local in Acton. It's run by an all-volunteer team. We are a 501(c), a nonprofit organization, and we try to cover things that we think are important to the community, providing information that would not otherwise be available since all the hard copy papers have gone out of existence. We incorporated in November of 2023, went live with our website on actonexchange.org in the spring of 2024. And we've been weekly publishing, or at least 50 weeks a year. We allow our editorial team to have a couple weeks off.
Yes. We take time off when we need it most. We started about a year after we lost the Beacon. The Beacon newspaper stopped publishing in May of 2022. And in February of 2023, the League of Women Voters brought together about 75 people at Town Hall who were interested in seeing a newspaper reform. And a group formed out of that, and soon thereafter we started publishing with the help of the local weekly Action Unlimited that helped us get started. And then eventually we created our own website.
And you guys have done an amazing job. But before we get into some of the next question, which will be about the trends in terms of your work, just very briefly, what are your roles, your specific roles with the paper?
Well, I came on in this summer of 2024 as the treasurer. The board was looking for someone to organize that function, and so I was happy to volunteer. And basically, I try to manage the day-to-day donations that come in, as well as the expenses of the organization. And expenses range from everything on the insurance for the organization, as well as the web developer who we've hired to keep that what we think is a really good website up and running, and all the software packages that you need to support all the things that our editorial team wants to publish.
Absolutely.
And I'm the editor-in-chief. I work with 3 other people on the editorial team, a copy editor and 2 associate editors. And we go through all the material, we seek out material. I actually really enjoy the work of sorting through, fact-checking, making sure everything is accurate, relevant, everything according to our mission. And we seek out new writers. I haven't been an editor-in-chief before. I have edited, but this is new, as it is to many of the volunteers. But a lot of people bring skills from their previous work, and that's what's really exciting.
So I can't write to save my life, but I know how to keep numbers.
And so we welcomed him, and that's what it seems that there's a large number of volunteers who say, hey, either I retired or I have extra time, and everybody brings their own skills.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of exciting because I think we have up to 40 volunteer writers over the course of time. Everybody, writing, not writing every week, of course. We have several people volunteered to lead the IT side of the function, which is critical. And we have some people who've just joined us that we're going to start to kick off a social media effort. So people who are more skilled in web things than I am, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. So just in terms of our understanding, what is the structure of the Acton Exchange? Because you've talked about so many volunteers, which is amazing that you're talking about all these over 40 volunteers.
So well, we have a board of 6 volunteers, myself and five others, all with varying experience, from a strong editorial writing experience to our President Mike Brandt, who's a retired HR executive. I'm a retired CEO, president of organizations, so I have the financial background. We have Jeff Vandergriff is background is in IT. He basically coordinates most of that part of it. Kim Castens is our editorial liaison and works closely with Franny on bringing that. And Ivantika Norkel, brings us some views from a diverse part of our town. And then we try to coordinate from the board. We have a sponsorship team now, and then the editorial team is going forward, and we're developing a development team to sort of focus on large donors as well.
I will get back to you on that. So, is there anything you wanted to add to the structure?
No, I'll think of it.
Well, we have a calendar team.
Yes,
and a letter writing team.
The team, that's what I was thinking. We've worked out teams of new volunteers to work on things as they come along. We wanted to introduce letters, so we brought in a group of 3 people, different ages, different backgrounds. We really wanted to make sure that the town of Acton is represented in our volunteers. And they go through all the letters that come in and make sure they all fit the policies of the letters. And
our calendar team brought forth with a terrific calendar that covers everything in town.
it's amazing. Now, when I want to go to something, I think several times this weekend I wanted to know, what time is this? I want to go to this. And I'll just go to the Acton Exchange calendar and do that. So we have a calendar team, a letters team. We don't have opinion pages yet. Someday we will, but the letters serves as that. If you have an opinion, if town people want to talk about anything, they should send a letter to the Acton Exchange. There's a wide readership, and it's a good way.
We have someone who regularly covers the selectmen's meeting, and we're picking up on school board meetings. And for instance, just this past week, we had a great article on the Acton School Board activity, which is considering 9 options for restructuring the schools given their financial problems going forward. And I think that was very informative. So having people covering those town meetings is really important.
Do you have any physical space yet?
We don't. We work out of our homes. We do have our monthly meeting right here at ActonTV, which has been very helpful. It's nice to be part of a conglomerate of media in town.
It's sort of a virtual organization because our message is via the website, so everything can be done virtually. As Franny's mentioned, the all-hands meeting is here, and our board meeting is usually in either the library or the town hall meeting rooms.
Yeah, guess what? You've kind of answered the question. The reason why I asked is, how do you get your team together? And you've answered it, I think, in a way virtually or here in person for meetings. Right. But then which takes me to the question I had prepared for you earlier. I think we last spoke about a year and a half ago when you were launching the website. So since that time, what are some of the gains you've had or the success stories that you can share with us?
Well, from the beginning, it grew slowly, but we had the help of Marion Maxwell, who I didn't mention, who's also on our board, who had previously been writing a letter to the senior citizen, basically group, and very active in the Acton Senior Citizen Hall. She basically helped recruit, or the first wave, if you will, of subscribers. And now we're focused on building subscribers, and we're up to over 1,700 weekly subscribers who get the newsletter announced to them on a weekly basis when the newspaper is up and running. But we have obviously many more readers. We get over 9,000 hits a week on our website. Different articles are reviewed, and we find that pretty exciting. And that has led us to that type of response has led our ability now to create a sponsor program, attracting a lot of local businesses who are trying to help us out, because we have some financial needs which we can talk about.
Absolutely. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, we have. I was thinking about the structure still, and this last question. We have a business beat reporter. We have beat reporters, and we have correspondents. Anybody who wants to cover a church they go to, an organization they're part of, a school they're involved with, a population they are busy with, they can serve as a correspondent. But we also have beat reporters.
What are beat
Jeff
reporters?
Brown. Beat reporters keep a focus on one part of town. We have
Okay.
a school board, a school committee beat reporter, a select board beat reporter. Jeff Brown is our business beat reporter, and we have Avantika on the board, who's a local business person, and that helps us keep tabs on what's happening in the business part of town. We also have good colleagues in town who keep us informed if there's something we're not aware of. Sometimes the town staff comes to us, or our legislators come to us and say, are you aware that this is going on? And that's very helpful. So that's part of our sort of fingers in different parts of the town is one way that we work well together.
Okay. And then in terms of the growth over the past year, are there any things that, in addition to what Bob mentioned, that you have seen or witnessed or are proud of?
Well, the subscribership is something that's really wonderful. I think the foray into social media is overdue, and I'm very excited about that.
I think the growth in our letters to the editor tells us that our readership are reading the paper. We get a lot of ideas from the letters. Occasionally we get some challenges. There's, the good news is that people are reading and asking questions about the article. For instance, recently we did an article covering science fair at Acton High School, Acton Boxborough High School, and there were some questions challenging the facts about the experiment. And we were happy to go back to the students who had great answers to those questions. And so I think that's a great conduit, both for the readership to ask questions and also for the people that we've interviewed to be able to respond. So.
Right, which raises one question. Do we know, or do you know, what demographic has subscribed? Is there a way of knowing?
Not yet. It's something that our IT people are working on. We have suspicion since we sort of grew out of the League of Women Voters and out of the Senior Center that we probably have a slightly older demographic. But we are, for instance, at the recent Oktoberfest, we had a booth where we probably added over 100 subscribers by talking to people, and we recognize that a lot of people still don't know about us. Particularly, we want to get more parents, more diverse members of the community to be aware of us, and then two things happen that way. You get more volunteers, be able to cover more things, and it steamrolls, and so that's what we're working on.
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
I get excited about the diversity of our volunteers. In general, as Bob said, we attracted older, white, retired people. But we really have also attracted a wide variety, both politically, which makes me very happy. That's one sort of pro-democratic, I don't mean capital D democratic, but just that aspect of local news is very important to me. And I'm glad to see that we have conservative and more liberal people working on the paper. And we have some younger people and people of color, and so it's very heartwarming to me to see it slowly grow, and to see the younger people start to realize, oh, we do have a local paper.
Right, and we do, despite the political cross-section of people we have, we understand the need to maintain the articles as nonpartisan, and we try to provide information on both sides of those things, because we do believe that the need for community paper is important, so that people understand we're all in the same community, we all live with each other, and we have sort of common value systems going forward.
Right, and you mentioned diversity. I've had a look at some of the articles, and they're heavy on what's happening with the town, with the government, and there isn't much about the sections of the community that are not in government. Is there, do you have a plan to engage or to diversify the content a little bit? Yes, it's great, by the way. I should have started with that. You guys are doing an amazing job, and it's amazing how many articles are out there. Greg is always everywhere. I see him taking lots of pictures. He's a great reporter, and everyone else who is really reporting and writing. But what is the plan, if there is any, to expand or to diversify the stories and the reporters?
Well, one thing that happens a lot with local papers is there are a lot of, a good time was had by all, type articles. And we have had a lot of those, and we have had that from all diverse parts of town. But there are a lot of event-related articles, and I think what we hope to do is have articles that more delve into people's lives. We have to stick to news, and we can't go into opinion, but we can cover how the situation in the state and the country and the world affects people in town. We could do more of that. We do try to cover issues about housing and issues about various programs from the government, but I look forward to covering more how the town people relate to the world at large. I think two issues. One is, since I've been in town for over 30 years, and I think Franny as well, the town has become much more diverse. And I remember back when we first moved to town, serving on a local school committee, not the school board, but we had these localized school committees about how do we get more diversity in the town. And I think the town has become more diverse for a variety of reasons on its own, but we need more volunteers. I mean, to be fair, if we wanted to write an article about any specific population in town or about a festival that they're having, something like that, it's more helpful to have someone from that community participate with us to get that article written, and we welcome those volunteers, and that's why we need to broaden the subscribership.
Right, and one of the things about writing and media is that it can be intimidating to people who are especially non-English speaking, and I think I mentioned that before. How can you encourage people who might be intimidated by language itself to engage?
We have offered, and our offer remains to have translators or interpreters help. So if somebody wants to write something in a non-English language, it would be wonderful. We can obviously translate, and it's obvious that people can translate the issue. We don't have that built in. We don't have a translation button as of yet, but we definitely welcome people. I often encourage people, I don't care that English isn't your first language. We can edit. We are happy to edit.
In fact,
things.
Those of us who are English speakers who would write, and many of our volunteers write, we rely on the editorial staff who have expertise in making sure we're grammatically correct and following certain proper code methods for communicating. So regardless of what language you write in, our editorial team will help you make it better.
Yeah. So some of these festival and special event and special meals articles, I hope, will lead to people from some of our other communities than the old white.
Yeah, we've had a few special articles.
People who've lived here for a long time. We really want to hear from newcomers in town, and we're open, as I said, to multiple languages. But I'm hoping that leads to it. We do have some correspondence from the Chinese community. We often hear from the South Asian Indian community. Not as much, as you said, except for special events, as we hope to get into.
Hopefully that recognition or understanding that we won't be judged, or people won't be judged by the English that they've written.
Oh, totally not.
I think that might help a little bit, because I can tell you that personally, even though I thought I spoke English and I wrote English, it was often not the right English. So it takes time to, learn the writing skills, the nuances, and the fear of being judged is real. So
it's so not there. I have to tell you, my mother was a Russian and then an ESL teacher, English as a second language, for 31 years. My brother's an ESL teacher. I come from a line of teachers and very patient people, and I have no problem with reading and editing anything that's written in any variety of style or
awesome. I hope the
English.
community hears that and actually volunteers to write, because we need all the voices. But before, I know we've gone on and on, but we are here really specifically for one thing, mostly to talk about the new financing model, for lack of a better word. Or can you just take us through it?
Sure.
Please?
I think we think about it. The Acton Exchange grew out of a shoestring operation. Our first fundraising effort was through a GoFundMe page operation, which got us up and running with around $6,000. And we've had continued support over the last year of individual donors coming in here and there. Over the last year, we've had about 100 donors, 40 of whom tend to be repeat donors, but we need to expand that. We have, as we said, we have 1,700 plus subscribers. We have more than that in terms of readers. But the reality is there is a cost to keep the function running. The general overhead runs around $8,000 to $9,000 a year between the website and insurance programs and other expenses that we have. So that's pretty fixed, but that's without any employees. That's with all volunteer. But in order for us to be sustainable long term, our editorial team, we think we need to have some support on the website, a more professional person to manage those uploads on a weekly basis, because if somebody's out sick on their team or family problems, someone has to scramble to do that, and it'd be nice to have someone who's formally responsible for that. Yeah. Longer term support in the editorial team in terms of I don't know what we want to call it, a managing editor or something like that, to really, because we do operate with volunteers, but we need to look forward in terms of things that are coming in the future, and what do we want to make sure we get covered, and who we can assign to that, or we have to find somebody to cover things going forward. So there's two levels, but that requires us to raise some funds, what I call foundational sponsorships, to create a reserve fund. And I'm sure ActonTV understands that. You have to have some money in the bank before you go out and hire somebody. So, this past months, sometime this past summer, we kicked off a sponsorship program where we've targeted local businesses to provide them an opportunity to have the logo linked to their website and a little bit about them on our sponsorship pages. And we've been successful getting 12 businesses on board. We have some slots available yet at the silver level that we're hoping to attract some people. I think part of our problems, we hit it in August, September. A lot of the larger businesses we talked to had already expended their funds for the year, so we'll be back in touch with you in January to try to get on board. But that's just a piece of it, and that effort probably raised around $15,000 to $20,000 on an annual basis, which was pretty exciting. And we're about to go through a process of, there are some substantial major donors in the area who I think would want to support a nonprofit newspaper, and we will be targeting them. It's something we haven't done at all yet, but we knew that we had to show a paper that was viable, that was workable. We have local businesses now supporting us, so I think some people who have deeper pockets might be more willing to support that. And then finally, and probably most importantly, the reason we're here is we are part of the Institute for Nonprofit News, which is a national organization, and we're going to be working with them. They've offered to provide matching funds for a campaign we're about to kick off November 1. We'll be providing some news about that in the Acton Exchange. A letter from our president will be going out to our subscribers. But basically, for every dollar we receive between November 1st and December 31st, up to $12,000, and we'll match that dollar for dollar. Wow. And we also are seeking perhaps some other local major donors who might match that as well. If they do, then IN will put even more money into that. So that is part of our effort to get some recurring revenue, and I think that would allow us, at least in 2026, to move to at least that web support position, and then we'll see how we grow from there.
That's exciting to know that there is an organization out there willing to match.
Yes.
12,000, I mean, is achievable once everyone chips in.
Yeah.
And I hope the community is paying attention. Not just paying attention, I hope they can support.
Right. And our new, we just modified our donation page so that in the past it was only set up to take singular donations. Now, if you want, you can sort of create a subscription and make a monthly donation over time that would be steady state if that fits your ability better.
Right. Maybe a follow-up question regarding sponsorships. That is always a harder thing for organizations to acquire. What are some of the lessons you've learned in terms of trying to acquire sponsorships? And I also mentioned this because some of the businesses, for example, they look at the statistics. Who is using your product?
Right.
Because it's all about visibility for them.
So I do think that the response has been very positive. I think the fact that we're getting over 9,000 hits a week is important to them. And the way our sponsorship is designed is that the logo of the sponsor appears, depending if they're gold, silver, bronze, on a rotating basis on the homepage. All sponsors are listed below what we call below the fold. Their logos are linkable to their website, so if somebody clicks it, they go directly to their website. In addition, we have the sponsor page where they're able to provide more information. I think what resonates with many of these entities, first of all, some of the sponsors are long-term businesses in town, and they recognize the lack of the Beacon and any newspaper in town, and they want to support our activities. So some jumped in purely for the support function. Some recognize, oh, this is a path to get to the community that our businesses need to get to, and it's not what we call traditional advertising because it's just a logo without a lot of detail unless they click through. And we also have to make clear that it's not a quid pro quo. Just because you're a sponsor doesn't mean you're getting an article from us or something of that nature or any extra kind words. But they have been responsive. Now we filled up our bronze level so far, and we've had several businesses come to us say, "Oh, I would have liked to have gotten in at that level." And so we have a growing list who want to get in at that level, and so we're going to see how we can move them up to the silver level and fill in the boxes. But I do think as we grow, they're seeing value that we provide. And then I hope longer term we'll be able to count the clicks that take them to their website, which will help support their long-term support.
Right. First of all, I admire your board because it's an active board. You're all out here doing the work, putting in the work.
Yeah, and the board members were the ones out there soliciting these businesses. It was nobody else.
See, that makes a whole difference with nonprofits because the board members have a strong say in the image of the organization, and they can market it and sell it, with a lot of clarity. So anyway, is there anything that we haven't talked about this project?
About the fundraising?
Yes, the fundraising.
No, I'm really glad.
No, I think, you're going to see it coming out from us. We're going to be out there hammering, getting people. I really think people want to support us, and they want to know how they can support us. And now's November 1st through the end of the year is probably the best time because we'll get the matching funds.
And how can people donate? I know you mentioned earlier the website.
On our website, there's a donate page. We use PayPal as our mechanism, but you can use donate one-time as a one-time fee. You can donate on a monthly fee if you want to, using credit card, PayPal, Venmo. In addition, and we've had a lot of activity. A lot of people in town who have a donation advised funds where they've put money away on a pre-tax basis. We can get donations from that. In that case, all you need to do is know our name, which is Acton News Initiative, and our employee ID number, which is on our website, and that generally allows you to find us on your donor advised fund. And we are able to take stock. We've had a couple of stock donations. We're working with DonateStock.com. Which if anybody's interested in doing that, they can email me at the treasurer at actonexchange.org, and I can give you the link to donate stock.
And are there events that you have in the public where people can give cash? $20, $10?
We have not done that, and we'd be happy to take cash, although it's from the treasurer's perspective in tracking, it's always better to get a check or credit card because you can keep track of that cash. It's a harder mechanism to keep track of.
Absolutely. Well,
I think if there was something I wanted to get across, is the enthusiasm of everyone around, both readers and the volunteers. There's a lot of excitement about the paper. I don't feel like I got that across when I was talking about it before. It is a true exchange. It was very well named. We welcome new contributors. I'm always reaching out. I went to a play the other night and I saw somebody I know and I said, why don't you write up this play for, write a review of this play and send it to us. There's things in there, I think, that represent a lot of the town. And people can see themselves. There are experiences of students and we try to have, I feel like we've actually done a pretty good job of covering a variety of people in town.
Right, and we have ideas for how we want to cover more, but it's all based upon having volunteers. I mean, we cover some sports, Acton Boxborough sports, and we'd like to cover more.
Oh, yes.
We've talked to some students there, but it's a tricky process to properly cover it and how to cover it, because there actually is a lot of sports if you really want to go after all of it. Yeah,
we actually have an opportunity for people to do a free course through the editor of the Harvard Press, or Harvard Mass, in teaching people how to do sports writing. It can be students or other people, and right now we're looking for people who are interested.
Volunteers for that.
And so it's that excitement about having a paper and seeing yourself, seeing your community represented on the pages of the newspaper, albeit not paper yet, but it's there at your fingertips, and I think people are really enjoying that. I mean, it's been fun both for the volunteers and for the readers.
And we're really excited about this opportunity to get the word out, that more people potentially subscribe.
Which is free.
Visit.
I want to note that subscribing, all it means is you get an email from me once a week, the editor-in-chief, saying the new issue is out and here's what's in it.
Yeah, I was surprised at Oktoberfest. We were trying to attract people. And I say, have you known about Acton Exchange? They start walking away until I say, well, it's free. They came right back. And they scanned it and signed up right away. So it's important for people to know.
I think people are tired of so many subscriptions where it just comes out of the bank account. You're like, what?
Yeah, no, totally free. I want people to know that it's your local free paper and it's yours.
Right. You're doing an amazing job. If I haven't emphasized it enough, I'm proud that the Acton Exchange has, achieved so much in such a short time, and this is a complementary way of supporting each other. You're here at ActonTV talking about the Acton Exchange, and we're grateful that you've also supported ActonTV by talking about our work through your paper, and we're really grateful for having this resource in town. Is there anything that we have not mentioned that you'd like to tell our viewers?
I wanted to mention something called the Boston University New England newsrooms, which we participate in. I just went for the first time the other day, and I was in a giant hall full of local independent newspapers from all over New England. And they support it. They send students out, and they do the editing, and the professors, and they really support the students in writing for local newsrooms. So we're going to hopefully participate in that program.
We participated in the past, and they just started that internship program, and we had hoped to get an intern from them, but getting them outside of 128 belt because the transportation was a problem. But as they grow the program, we hope to get an intern to work with us as a stringer on some events going forward.
Yes, but it was amazing all that I learned from listening to them. And so many of the speakers said, well, when I was at the Globe or when I was at this other larger newspaper, but they're all involved and very excited about this new wave of newspapers, because many, many towns have lost their newspapers. They became more and more thin in material, and then many of them closed. And there's a whole movement of new newspapers like ours.
And is it possible, I know that Boston University, that's a college, is it possible to do something similar, to model something similar for our high school so that we can train the high schoolers?
We've been reaching out and telling high school students, and we have had several articles written by high school students, and we want more of that. And the high school has a newspaper, and we reached out to them and said, anybody who wants to get involved with the Acton Exchange can, and so we're in touch with the staff support for that newspaper. We would love high school volunteers more than we have had.
Well, it's been an honor, first of all, hearing about your work today, hosting you, and thank you again for the Acton Exchange's dedication to bringing us print. Although it's not technically, it's online, but
It's the new print.
it's the new. But we appreciate your presence in our community for highlighting everything that's going on. And I think we haven't forgotten anything, but to our viewers, if you'd like to support the Acton Exchange, you can reach out to them through their website. You can subscribe and donate and otherwise volunteer because it cannot be what it is without all of us. So
And that's actonexchange.org.
ActonExchange.org, you got it. But to you again, thank you so much for being my guest.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and for all of your support. And we've enjoyed meeting in your offices
Yeah.
and being fellow Acton Media
Yeah,
organizations.
we're in it together. To our viewers, thank you for watching. Till next time.
Thank you.